Hey everybody, it's Lear from Lear Gaming, and in today's Baldurs Gate 3 guide, we're going to be looking at the Light Domain Subclass for the Cleric. Within this video, we're going to cover features at level 1 of character creation, including ability recommendations. Going to give you a full level 2 to 12 breakdown as well, including all spells available as you level up. Towards the end, I'll give you general equipment recommendations, as well as my thoughts on multi-classing the Light Cleric. You can use timestamps below to jump to areas that most interest you. Remember to drop a like and leave a comment below with your thoughts, feedback, and questions. And now, without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the Light Domain Cleric. Alright guys, at level 1, main things to note about the Cleric class is their primary ability is Wisdom. Their saving throw proficiencies are Wisdom and Charisma. And their hit die is 1d8 hit points. You're going to start with proficiency of all simple weapons, Light Armor, Medium Armor, and Shields. Now, unlike other subclasses we've viewed recently, you do not get Heavy Armor proficiency. However, you do get access to Morning Stars as an additional option for yourself on top of simple weapons. In addition, the Light Domain is going to give you a feature called Warding Fire and the domain spells of Burning Hands and Fairie Fire. I'll show that in just a moment. But in addition to this, you're going to get to pick a cantrip, or rather 3 cantrips. The one that I most recommend is Guidance, as it helps with a ton of different checks, and the other ones are going to be up to your preference. I will mouse over them. Feel free to pause the video if you want to read the descriptions. You'll also automatically get access to 5 spells. Cure Wounds, a nice melee range action heal. Guiding Bolt's going to be your initial long range damage spell. Healing Word is a great bonus action heal that you can cast at range. And Shield of Faith is a phenomenal concentration spell that will give you higher AC for survival. Do note concentration, just as with all of the other subclasses for the Cleric, is going to be a big deal. I'll talk about that when we get to feats, how to maximize your ability to not lose concentration when you get damaged. You're going to start with 2 level 1 spell slots to use on those spells. Now again, when it comes to the Light Domain, you're going to get Burning Hands as one of your spells, and Fairie Fire. You'll see by the descriptor it's all about purifying with fire and dispelling darkness, and Fairie Fire helps making things visible. And your subclass feature is pretty interesting. You can basically shield yourself with Divine Light, so you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on an attacker, possibly causing their attack to miss. So it's a nice little defensive reaction that you can use every turn. Now when it comes to stats, because this class can only use medium armor unless you multi-class, I actually like to have 10 strength but then 14 dexterity, so you can get the most out of medium armor. Then 16 constitution, 8 intelligence, 17 wisdom, and 8 charisma. Now at level 2, you're going to get another level 1 spell slot and access to channel divine charges. You're going to start with 1. You're going to be able to use this for Turn Undead, or your special action that you're going to get that we'll go over in a second. These you can refresh every time you short rest or long rest. And the unique action for the Light Domain is Radiance of Dawn. And basically you do 2d10 plus 1 radiant damage. And the descriptor is the sun's divine power dispels any magical darkness. Doesn't affect creatures that have total cover from you. So not only does this do AoE damage, but it also makes characters visible, again, unless they have total cover, it looks like, based off this descriptor. And it's got 9 meter range. Decent damage for level 2 though. You're also going to get to prepare 5 spells now, and this is how clerics prepare their spells. At every level you're going to get 1 more and 1 more and 1 more that you can prepare at any given time. You can do this when you level up, or in the inventory there's a tab there where you can choose these at any time. And the only downside is this is across all your levels. So right now it doesn't seem that bad, but as soon as you get level 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 spells, there's going to be more and more spells that you're going to have to fit amongst here. So you do have to be quite selective. At level 3, you're going to get one more level 1 spell slot, and you're going to unlock level 2 spells and get 2 level 2 spell slots. The domain spells that will always be memorized are Flaming Sphere and Scorching Ray, both really good fire damage spells. And then you'll have the following spells here. Again, you can pause the video to look at them. Enhance Ability is amazing. Hold Person is always good. Prayer of Healing is a great AoE heal, but do note that you can only cast it when out of combat. Protection from Poison, really good for all the poison sections of the game. Do note, it does not require concentration. You cast it, it lasts till end of your long rest, and gives you resistance against being poisoned and resistance to poison damage. Situationally very powerful. Spiritual Weapon's nice. You basically summon a pet companion that's a spiritual weapon, and you fully control it. And then there's Warding Bond. I'm a big fan of this one. You ward an ally. It's not a concentration spell. It lasts until long rest. The person you ward is going to get resistance to all damage, get +1 to AC and +1 to saving throws. So the downside is the other half damage that they are not taking, you take. And the problem can be is if you take damage and you're concentrating on a different spell, you could lose that concentration possibly. But otherwise, situationally, if you set it up right, this can be very, very useful. And then you get to pick 6 spells to prepare across your 2 levels of knowledge. At level 4, you're going to get an additional 2nd level spell slot. You can pick another cantrip that you want. You can prepare now 7 spells, but the biggest thing is you get your feats. Now, as I alluded to earlier, maintaining concentration is big. You do already start at 16 Constitution. I love Warcaster at level 4 for starters here. This is going to give you advantage on your concentration saves is the main feature I like. You could also pick up Resilient. Normally I pick this up on the other subclasses where we start with 15 Constitution. The +1 Constitution isn't quite as useful here unless you bump it up to 18 later, which you can definitely do. And this will give you proficiency in Constitution, which is something I definitely recommend because between that and Warcaster, it's going to maximize the chances that you do not get interrupted when you take damage, which really pays off long term. I'm also a big fan of ability improvements. You can take that at higher levels, especially you can bump up your Wisdom to 18. You can bring up your Constitution to 18 as well. So lots of different ways, but those are the 3 main feats that I recommend as you level up for the Clerics. At level 5, you're going to gain 2 level 3 spell slots. Your Turn Undead is going to turn to Destroy Undead, which will do 4 to 24 radiant damage to Undead. Your 2 domain spells are Daylight and Fireball. And this is probably one of the biggest selling points because, again, this is very hard to get the spell unless you're a wizard or sorcerer. So getting Fireball is really nice on a Cleric. And then your other options at level 3 are here. I'll again mouse over them, so feel free to pause. Mass Healing Word is always good. And Spirit Guardians, I'm a big fan of this. I'll mention it in my other videos a lot. But here you may actually use Fireball because that's one of the main reasons why you'd probably pick this subclass over one of the other ones. And then you can prepare 8 spells now. Alright, at level 6, you're going to gain 1 more level 3 spell slot. Again, another charge of your Channel Divinity. And improve Warding Flare. So now when an enemy attacks an ally, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on their attack roll, possibly causing them to miss. So now the same thing you can do for yourself, you can do for another ally. And you can also now prepare 9 spells. At level 7, you're going to get a level 4 spell slot. Your 2 domain light spells are Guardian of Faith and Wall of Fire. And then you can also have access to these right here. And you can now prepare a total of 10 spells across all the levels. At level 8, you're going to get another level 4 spell slot. You get the subclass feature Potent Spellcasting. Your god grants you even more intense power. You can add your Wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with cantrips. So that's very interesting, but very kind of situational. You can, of course, utilize this effectively instead of using melee weapons or ranged weapons when you're out of spell slots, or if you don't want to waste the full spell slot. So it can potentially be quite useful. And you're going to be able to prepare 11 spells, and you'll pick your second feat. Now I will add at this level, because you have such a big focus on fire spells, at level 8 you could of course choose Elemental Adept. As you get higher in levels, there's going to be more enemies that have resistance to certain types of damage. So you could pick Elemental Adept potentially and select fire. So you basically would ignore resistance to that damage type, and when you roll damage you cannot roll a 1. So this will definitely increase how much fire damage you do and help you with enemies that are resistant to fire. Do note, this does not help you when enemies are immune to fire. Alright, at level 9, you're going to get another level 4 spell slot, and you're going to get your first level 5 spell slot. Your 2 light domain spells are Flame Strike, which is very, very effective for this build, and Destructive Wave. You also can choose to pick the following spells here. Mass Cure Wounds is good for AoE healing. And you can now prepare 12 spells. At level 10, you get to pick another cantrip. You get to prepare 13 spells now. You're going to get one more level 5 spell slot. And you get a very unique feature called Divine Intervention, where the gods are going to intervene to help you in one of 4 ways, and I'll show you what that's all about in a second. Now here's Divine Intervention. There's 4 abilities, and do note, once you use one of these, you will never get to use this again. The big AoE option is Sunder the Heretical. It does basically 8d10 radiant damage and a giant 15-foot AoE. You can kind of see the outskirts of this. It's gigantic, so it's a giant bomb they can drop. It's just unfortunate you can't make it fire damage, because that would be even better for this build. Alternatively, you can have Golden Generosity. And now Golden Generosity is the one I think is the weakest. It provides you with a rich bounty of potions and camp supplies, neither of which you should be short on. Then you have Opulent Revival, great for really tough encounters. It's going to resurrect fallen companions. It's all within 18 meters, which is also giant, as you can see the AoE range there. And not only is it going to restore them with half hit points, but it's going to restore all nearby allies as if they had long rested. So meaning getting all their special effects back and spells, etc. can really help you if you're stuck in a difficult situation. And the final option is Armed Thy Servant, and it's going to give you a legendary weapon. I'll show you what that looks like here. It's the Devotee Mace, and for this build it may not necessarily be the best option, because you're unlikely to do too much melee fighting of this build. You're much more likely to cast cantrips, but you might like the secondary effects. So this is a mace that's got a +3 enchantment. It does +1d8 extra radiant damage, and the special effect is you, as a bonus action, you can cast Healing Incense Aura. It's gonna heal 1d4 health to everybody and a 9-meter AoE for 10 rounds. So it's going to, over 10 rounds, heal everybody between 10 and 40 health. Does not require concentration and recovers on a long rest. So for a lot of builds it's really good. For this one you're just going to get less mileage out of it, but it's still quite good. However, you may end up wanting to use one of the other situational effects on one of the really, really hard end game battles, for example. Alright, level 11, you're going to unlock level 6 spells and get 1 level 6 spell slot. Here are the spells you get access to. And planar ally is quite interesting. I'll show you what 3 different planar allies you can summon in just a second. And again, you're going to get to prepare 14 spells now at this point. Alright, and like I said, there are 3 different planar allies. We'll start with the Cambion. And its special abilities are Fiendish Charm, Draining Kiss, and Raise of Fire. It's got the least health of all of the summons, but it does have the most amount of different resistances. And it's got a decent stat block, but really its main benefit is its Dark Vision and all the resistances. Alright, next we have the Diva, and he gets Wrathful Smite, Revivify, and Concussive Smash. And here's what he looks like. Very angelic. Health-wise, he's right in the middle. So he's got 136, same with his resistances. But he's got real nice AC and a nice stat block. And finally we have the Genie. Its special abilities are Sweet Plum Gales, Thunder Wave, and Drunken Inhale. And here's what he looks like. Now he's got the most health of all the summons at 161, but he's got the least amount of resistances. However, he is fully immune to thunder and lightning damage, so that's a trade-off, and he also has a really solid stat block as well. And then finally at level 12, you're gonna be able to prepare 15 spells and pick your final feat. Now when it comes to equipment, it's going to be a little different with this class. Because you can't do naturally heavy armor, you're going to be picking the best possible medium armor you can pick. At the same time, because of some of your features, where you can add your wisdom modifier to your cantrips, you're probably not going to use weapons for your primary attacks. Instead, you may use a cantrip. For example, like Firebolt would be probably the most optimal. By max level, it's doing 3d10 damage, and then of course you're going to have your modifier to Wisdom, or Sacred Flame, for example, if you don't have Firebolt for whatever reason. So that's more likely going to be the focus there. So your actual weapon, you may rely more on its bonuses and stats than the actual damaging portion. So like, for example, if you get her legendary spear from her quest line, you may use it for Moonbeam, for example. Or if you use the legendary mace that you got through the ability from level 10, use it for the healing incense aura, etc. So keep that in mind. You are going to want to use the best possible shield that you can get for survival. If you want to, when it comes to your other pieces of equipment, find stuff that's going to support either your healing or your potential fire damage output. So like I like Wapira's Crown. When healing another, the wearer gains 1 to 6 health. I like Boots of Aid and Comforts. Whenever you heal a target, they get 3 temporary hit points extra. And then any jewelry that will either again boost your damage, provide you with extra spells to cast, or spell slots are a big plus. My favorite is Spellcrook's Amulet. It lets me restore an extra 6th level spell slot. So that's kind of the goal you're going to want to go in this kind of fire caster heavy cleric subclass. Now when it comes to multiclassing this cleric class, it's kind of interesting. It's a unique build and setup where baseline, this is kind of like a fire mage built or comboed with a cleric, so if you want heavy healing of that. So it's a little odd. I don't think it has any features that are super unique to other clerics. That being said, you can still be a very good support cleric while dealing good damage through casting without multiclassing. You could do something as simple as doing 1 level in fighter, so you can get heavy armor and martial weapons if you wanted to actually be able to attack with melee weapons. But that would kind of go against the whole idea of the ability where your cantrips actually do more damage. So, I haven't personally come up with any light build multiclassing options, but you could do traditional combinations like the Bard. If you want Bardic inspirations and a more larger variety of spells, that's always an option. But this is another one of the subclasses for the Cleric that if you like this theme, probably sticking through it all the way through 12 levels is not the worst of ideas. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of my Light Domain subclass for the Cleric Guide. Hope you guys found it useful. Again, drop a like. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to see more from this channel, make sure to subscribe. Always appreciate all your support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.